If you don't have time to be quiet, you can't let anything new in. If you're letting your mind be that monkey mind all the time, it keeps you a ball of stress and you can't let anything go. Right. I mean, there's been so many times where I think like, should I just get a job? It allows me to open up that space to let new in. And it is so important. I never would have opened this store.
Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Well, hello there, my friends. Nice to have you here with us today on the Creative Shop Talk podcast. This is episode number 67. Wow, we are midway through the summer. It is a busy summer for so many of you, and I'm so grateful that you're taking time out of your day to listen to us here on the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, and I work with creative shop owners all over the globe, and I am super excited to introduce you to our Retail Success Series, which is continuing. We've had some great retailers on, and this week I have a great chat with Jane Bellante. Do you know Jane? She's a pretty popular woman. We have her from Morning Dew Creations. Jane is a member of my retailer's inner circle. She's also a member of my Level Up Mastermind group. And I have just had the pleasure of working with her for the last few years and watching her grow and expand her business. And the reason that I invited Jane onto the show was because I wanted her I always like to bring people on who are doing different things and who are running their businesses maybe a little bit differently, because we're all different. There's no cookie cutter formula for the way we run retail businesses. There's just no cookie cutter formula anymore. It's really wonderful to watch retailers do different revenue streams and have different revenue streams that are working for them. So Jane and I are going to be chatting today about some of the changes that she made over the last, year and a half, like a lot of us have, some things that she's added, taken away, and how she stays creative through it all. We also talk about the importance of doing what's right for you and your family and your business, which, is really the whole point for me, and the whole mission that I have is that we can create businesses around the lifestyle that we want. And, profits, yes. Joy, yes. Running a creative, happy business, yes, we can do it all if we make decisions. So Jane made some really big decisions over the last year with her CEO hat on. You'll hear me talk about that a lot here on the podcast, putting your CEO hat on and making decisions from a big picture point of view. And so we talk a little bit about that as well. So before we jump in, I do want to let you know, I had a lot of comments and questions last week on the podcast. I announced that our holiday boot camp is coming up in August. That's our holiday sales boot camp that is very popular every year. And I've had lots of people excited about that. And the only way to jump into the holiday sales boot camp that I run every August is to be inside my retailer's inner circle. But not to fret, I know the doors are closed currently. We only open the doors a few times a year, as you are all aware. Those of you who've been following along for a while, we will be inviting new members in before August to those on the wait list. So if you are interested in being super prepared for Q4 and all of the great things that are coming, if you don't want to be running around with your head cut off and not prepared and not ready and not having your marketing plans in place and, ordering and, all that last minute stuff that we end up doing because we weren't paying attention, if you would love, love, love to have that all ready. And as one of my retailers, Jeff Lee from the Vintage Nest last year said to us, Q4 was all on on autopilot. So I was just able to serve and sell and do what lights me up and makes me money. Right. So, if you want to feel like that, if you want to have everything ready, set it and forget it. Isn't that a wonderful way to put it and have it? That you can have everything already, you're going to want to take the holiday sales boot camp. And that's really, again, only available inside our retailers inner circle, but not to fret. We will have a link to the wait list in the show notes, or you can find it over at wendybatten.com. Under work with me. So you can check where it says work with me or learn from Wendy, I think it says. And we have the wait list set up there for the retailers inner circle. And we would love to have you. It's a wonderful community. You can jump into the inner circle and just take the boot camp if that's all you need from us and all you want from us. You can jump in, give it a try, see the community. We have a wonderful group of retailers inside that community. It's a community for retailers that are looking to level up their business, ready to, simplify and get out of the overwhelm and help one another. We have retailers from all different levels. We have startup retailers and retailers who have been in the business for many years. You've met some of them here on the podcast. And so we have lots of experience in a wonderful community, a no drama community. Imagine that, right? So anyway, I would like to invite you to join us. Jump on the wait list. We will be sending out invitations later on this month so that you can be inside for our holiday prep and sales boot camp. So it's a wonderful program, and it's one of my very popular programs. Every year I get emails. And last week when I announced it, lots of retailers inquiries came in. So jump on that wait list. Don't miss when we open the doors for new members so that you too can be part of our boot camp in August. And no, August is not too early, because that's the next question I get asked a lot. August is actually a little bit late. I have a lot of retailers who will already have their holiday prep done, those who've been doing it for years. August is the time, my friends, so that you have time to get all the marketing promotions and everything in place, your team in place. All of the things need to be put in place at least in August into September, so that you can just chill and relax and sell. We have done for you templates, done for you emails. I'm telling you, it's a great program. You're going to want to come and see it. If you're already an Inner Circle member, you know how great it is, and you can look forward to joining us in August again this year. And so we'll just be ready. We'll just be like Jeff. We'll be able to just set it and forget it, and just enjoy selling and serving our customers this year. So let's get on with our conversation today with Jane Bellante from Morning Dew Creations. It was a pleasure to chat with Jane. So here we go. Hey there, Jane. I'm so excited to introduce my listeners here on the Creative Shop Talk podcast to Jane Bellante. Is that how you say your last name? I've known you forever. I should know that. Is it Bellante?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I never know. I'm always hesitant. I've known you for so long, but I don't think I've ever called you by your last name. So Jane Bellante is the owner of Morning Dew Creations. And I have asked Jane, and she has been so gracious to join us here to share the way that things have been going over the last year and the way she's been coping through it and some of her amazingness with us. And I just think it's so inspiring for retailers to hear from other retailers on how they're navigating through all the different challenges that we face as retailers. So welcome, Jane.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I am super flattered and humbled that you joined us, because I'm really excited to chat with you. Jane is in my mastermind group. She's been in my Level Up mastermind group for a couple of years, and we've known each other for quite some time through lots of other ways, and all the creative worlds that we're in as well. So it has been a pleasure to watch Jane grow and thrive over the last couple of years. I'm really excited to share her story. So speaking of which, would you want to just share a little bit about yourself, your business, maybe your business journey? How did you end up here? And then tell us what's going on and what you're about now.
Well, gosh, the business journey is kind of crazy. I've been a working artist for almost 30 years. It's nuts. It's hard to say that out loud even. I started by making jewelry, and my very first show, I popped the trunk on my car and set up a little board with my jewelry on it. And I was open for business at a flea market.
Yep. As we do.
It kind of grew from there. I just kept making things all throughout my 20s and did little shows, and that's kind of all there was at that time. Just shows, flea markets, things like that. And I had kids, and while I had kids, I was doing still a ton of art, but I was waitressing a lot. And I just was like, what? I don't want to waitress for the rest of my life. What am I doing? Right. And so I was one of those kids that went to college and it wasn't for me. And the epiphany hit me in my 30s that I better go back. And so I got my bachelor's degree after about 6 years in my 30s with toddlers. All throughout that time, I was still making and I was still doing shows, and bigger art shows came during that time. And so I decided that I wanted to be a teacher. And so I went back to get my master's degree. And while I was getting my master's degree, I really was painting furniture like crazy. Sometimes doing 7 pieces a day. I would set them all out on my driveway and it would be like an assembly line, and I was painting like crazy. I was booked out for almost a year on custom pieces. And as you can guess, I pretty much burned myself out doing that.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't realize you did all that with kids and while you're getting your master's. Amazing. But yeah.
So I had to still work. My husband had a job, as well, but I had to work. I wasn't one of those wives that, was able to just sit home and put my feet up. And so it really just happened by accident.
Which we say regularly here. We became accidental entrepreneurs and retailers. Yes.
Yeah. And so what I did is I was teaching graphic design at a local university, just as an adjunct, but all through that time I was still painting furniture. And I just sort of decided, well, listen, I've got all this great business background behind me now. I've been teaching graphic design. I know all about branding. So I honestly just decided to take all of that information and be a real business.
That's awesome. Yeah. So tell us about what you have right now. What's going on right now? What are your revenue streams in your retail business? And you've just made some changes, and we'll talk about that, because I think that you have demonstrated such amazing CEO mindset, putting your CEO hat on and making money decisions, and the mindset that comes with that, and being quite brave actually this past year over the last year. So tell us about Morning Dew Creations. What are you doing for revenue streams? We talk about revenue streams.
So revenue streams right now, I've just opened a brand new store. During COVID, I had a 3,000 square foot store for a couple of years. And if I'm being honest, I didn't love it. It was sucking the life out of me. And when COVID came around and we had to close, it just gave me time to actually pause and think about it, and I did not want to reopen. I thought, why am I doing this? I'm doing it for everybody else. I had tons of vendors and it wasn't fun anymore. And so I closed, and I really launched and worked hard on my website and having all of my products on my website. And I started doing kits. So I started doing mixed media kits where I would send all of the ingredients for the kit, and then we get together online on Zoom and make it together. And because everybody was yearning for community so much during that time, it just grew like crazy. Fast forward to a couple months ago, I don't know. Something just told me to come out here and look for space. And it's a little community called McWanago. It's about 20 minutes away from where I live. And I don't know, honest to God, something just said, go look in McWanago for space. And I walked in here and it was perfect. I didn't even have any intentions of opening another store, but it's small. It's 750 square feet. It's me, my furniture, my jewelry, my mixed media art, and then I sell, DIY products as well. So it's really amazing how that works out. And I think that you had asked me, are you somebody that plans or just does? And clearly I'm somebody that just does.
Well, you say that, but I have watched. So I just want to pull a few things out of what you just said that other retailers should really pay attention to. And I hope that they're listening, because you are a plan. I mean, you do plan. You don't jump into, I mean, we all jump into things. It's sort of, we're dreamers and doers and creatives and artists. And, being an entrepreneur, I feel like you have to be creative. We're all we all have to have some kind of creative brain and mindset just to be self-employed and move down the path that we're in. But you have made the decisions based on, like, instead of just moving forward, you said, I was doing it for everybody else, is what I've heard you say that before too. And we all, not all, but there's a lot of us that get into these revenue streams or businesses, and we just start going down this path and it's working and it's okay. But just because we can doesn't mean we should. And I felt that's where you were with that big store and all the vendors. And just because you could didn't mean you should, right? It was sucking the life out of your creative life. You weren't doing as much art as you wanted to do, I know at the time. And then, so that pause, that was the other thing I wanted to mention, that pause, that was where you did put your CEO hat on then, and, thought about what is right, because it's not just about the numbers in the back end, about being a good boss and being a good, business owner. It's about doing what's right for you and your business. Right. I mean, so we talk a lot about, we have to make a profit in order to be a business. I mean, that's just the thing. You said it as well too. You have to make money. We have to make money. We have to have a profit. The second part is I'm a big believer that the second thing is joy and fulfillment. I mean, yes, there's things that are hard and we have to push through and all the, there's a lot, but if we're not happy, we can't serve and we can't create and we can't be, and why are we doing this? We could go work for somebody else. That's what I say all the time. But then, and so those decisions, when you took that pause, I watched you make those decisions, and I just saw you work through all those decisions. I was surprised. I will share with our listeners as well, when you came on in our mastermind group one day and you're like, I'm opening a store again. But you did do that work that's necessary to be fulfilled. So you needed to make a profit, and you figured out how this store doing these things could work. And you had your kits and you have your groups and you have your, and you also run a few courses. I mean, I'll toot your horn for you. I know you haven't mentioned too much of that, but you run, branding courses, and you do a lot of other things that fill you up and help support that bucket, right? Those buckets. But it's been such a joy watching you make decisions. And it is, I think you are planning it. I know, like, you fell in love with the space, but you didn't go in without your eyes open. Maybe that's the better way to say it.
Right. And I was still renting studio space.
Right.
And so, and I was still painting furniture, but I wasn't open as a store.
Right.
So,
and you did have a booth space as well. I don't think you've mentioned that as well too. So during all of this, you were struggling to keep that going because everybody, you'd built such a reputation. You have one of the ingredients that I think a lot of retailers maybe forget that is super important. It's being smart and creative and running a business and all the things, but you have built a community, like you said, but you have a beautiful community of followers and people, and you show up. Man, you show up, you share, you show up. That's why, this, when you said you worked on your website and that kind of took off over the last year or two, it's been a year, I think, for your website, right? That's taken off. That has taken off because you've built relationships. You don't take off and then I see some people that, well, I built a website. How come nobody's buying? It's like, people like Jane show up every day. You go onto all of your, I see you go on your paint lines, your creative lines, you're, on your own page regularly, Facebook Lives. We could talk about that in a minute as well too. Like, you're just showing up. You're on it, girl.
Yeah. I do. The thing is, I love to teach, and so that is, and people are so afraid to go live on Facebook. And you know what? People connect with you, who you are, your authentic self. I was on live the other night on a decoupage marathon on somebody else's page, and my computer wasn't working. I had to go on my phone. I didn't have a tripod. You're real, and people connect with that. And it is what it is,
I say to a lot of retailers, it's so funny. I'm so glad you brought that up. Because I say to a lot of retailers, like, if I showed up in your store, would you have a conversation with me? And if your hair wasn't perfect and your makeup wasn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, it went, like, that's how I used to look at it. I used to be like, if Susie's going to walk in my shop right now, she's getting me with whatever, like, you know, whatever's going on right here. Yeah. I mean, I was a paint retailer too. So it was, you know, painting the hair and, you know, whatever, whatever was going on that day. And I'm not going to be perfectly speaking to you like this when you show up. And, you know, there's no right. So that is the fear, I think, is that they're showing up. But you know what? Paint's going to spill and lights are going to go out. And so before we jumped on, Jane and I both, this is really funny. Actually, it's a good time to maybe mention this. Jane and I both said, oh, we're going live. We planned this in advance. We both know that it's kind of be quiet for the podcast, you know, in the background. My plumber showed up like an hour ago, and we've been waiting months for a plumber to show up. So, you know, he's here drilling downstairs. You said there's some construction going on. Like, things are going to happen. Like, things are happening and it doesn't matter. Tripods are going to fall. It's all right. That is humanizing. And that's what people connect with.
I have had everything happen. And you know what people say to me too, is like, I'll make a mistake on a piece that I'm making and I just roll with it. And they say that's one of the things that they love the most, is that, yes, I make mistakes all the time when I'm creating, but it's how you fix it. You know, it's how you roll with it and say, hey, this stuff kind of happens, you know.
Well, it's going to happen to them too, right? So it makes them say, oh, sure. Jane's not this perfect person of, you know, this perfect creative. So you're so inspiring when you do your lives. So that's such a great thing. And all of these lives, I just to remind everybody that, you know, those connections mattered when it came time to building your website and selling. And I know you do really well with that, with your kits, because the trust factor's there too. And they're seeking you out and they're seeing you, and no one is going to, and I really challenge retailers to think about this. They're watching Jane. Jane is sharing. They love her. They love what she does. They follow her. It's almost like a community following. Everybody's talking in the groups. When I watch you, everybody see they're all talking to each other, you know, oh, she's doing this. Oh, that's beautiful. I wish, anyway, it's so funny to watch, but, or it's fun to watch, not funny, but they're building. So then you mentioned, go to my website if you want to buy these things, whatever. They're not out price shopping and stuff. You know, they are going to Jane's website. Like, she's making it easy. They trust her. They know her. She's not gouging them, whatever. Like, I sometimes find it a cop out a little bit when retailers say, like, well, I don't want to share too much on, and I don't want to, and why bother? And, you know, this is why, because you're building relationships and it works. So yes, you might have 0.00% that might shop around or whatever. That's fine. They're not your people. Move on, right? They'll come back to Jane, right? So you've been really successful with that. And then when it came back to putting this store, like to deciding to go back into store, you've just opened up. I mean, it's 2 months now, maybe
a month and a half.
April. So, and things are going well, but you found your peace, I guess, or found your place and your space in the place that you need to be. So, and it's been such a great, it's been so great watching you. Can you share with us, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, how do you, because there's a lot going on. You still have like your family all home. You've got kids and dogs. And so Jane usually joins our meetings while she's like out walking the dog, because it's like, got to get it done and I got to get this done. And, we're juggling a lot of things as business owners, no matter what kind of business owner. But staying fresh and staying this year, especially, we all know it's been heavy. It's been a hard year, pivoting, shifting, adjusting, whatever, juggling all those balls. How have you stayed creative? Because that is something that I get asked a lot. Like, and creative, creative in fresh merchandising, creative in what you do for a living is painting, and you're an artist as well. And all of the things, what is your secret? Do you have any tips for retailers out there listening who've kind of gotten away from, they got into the busyness of everything? And how do you stay fresh and creative?
Yeah, you know what? I usually create something every single day.
Wow.
I make something every day.
Yeah.
And it keeps you in your products. All my stuff is around me all the time, whether I'm at my store or my home studio. My stuff is there. I have transfers and stencils. I've got everything that there is to have. And so I just sit down and create something every single day. And a lot of times it's just playing with products. Like, ooh, I just got this cool metallic paste in. Let's see what I can make with this, because I think once you step out of it, it's really hard to get yourself back in. I've just had a client come in the other day and she's been super depressed, like for the whole year.
There's a lot of that.
Really
depressed. Yeah.
Can't drag herself out of the house, and she came in to get some supplies so she could at least start creating. And it is cathartic. It gets you present. And presence is where you need to be your best self,
Totally agree. I know you and I've spoken to about some other ways that, you walk, I think, every day with your dog and, we try to make time. I'm a big believer that, and I've been sharing this a lot lately, that, and I've shared this forever, but really trying to remind people that if we fail, whether that's health or mindset or whatever, we can't see success if we don't optimize our own healthy success, like internally, mindset, health, body, whatever, because we just can't show up. We can't be there. You'll lose your creativity. We'll lose our health. If we lose our health, we lose our business. I'm sorry, but that's the bottom line, right? I mean, and our families, and I guess I'm joking. I'm not joking, but I joke and say, I'm trying to optimize health right now, because it's important, like our mental health and physical health. And, and it's just important to do that. Do you schedule in, again, just tips for other retailers who are struggling for that? And I know, again, you and I've talked, I do yoga. I think you do yoga as well. Meditation. I try, I'm a newbie meditation person. I try really hard, but I am shocked that it helps because, again, juggling all the balls and all the things, right? But it's quieting your mind to open the space to be creative. Would you say that would work? That works for you as well?
Oh my gosh, 100%. If you don't have time to be quiet, you can't let anything new in. If you're letting your mind be that monkey mind all the time, it keeps you a ball of stress and you can't let anything go. It has allowed me to pivot, right? I mean, there's been so many times where I think should I just get a job?
We all go through that, but But
it has allowed me to pivot. Instead of quitting, I pivot, and it allows me to open up that space to let new in. And it is so important. I never would have opened this store
without the quiet.
Yeah.
Well, and I see that. And I guess that's why I really wanted to have a conversation with you about that part of it, because a lot of people pivot reactively. Is that do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And maybe from the outside, that is how it looks for a lot of us. But I've had people say that about me, but that's not true at all. Not pivot, but when I franchised my store, and it's these were all very thoughtful. I'm a very thoughtful, but I'm like you, I try to let my mind rest. And I love that you just said that about, you have to slow down to speed up, kind of. That's how I look at it, because I'm a doer. But I really need to slow down to speed up. And I saw that when you slowed down during the pandemic, you were able to stay creative, you make new decisions. And again, you said you weren't planning that, but I really saw a plan come together when opportunities presented themselves. I think that's the other thing. So it's not a reactive thing. It is a proactive and a planning and looking at the different angles. Also, in general, most of us are not risk takers, but I don't know what the word is, but we're willing to try new things, I guess, whether it's art or whether it's things, but that still takes a plan a little bit. So I do see you being a planner. I see you as a planner, whether you do or not, but I see you as a planner. But I think it's because you take time for that open space. You take time to walk. You take time to take care of yourself, your family, and all of the important things. I know we're not all doing everything at 100% perfect. None of us are, but the health and the mindset and making those decisions and having that white space is, I think, really, really important.
Oh, yeah.
And really neglected by a lot of us. I think a lot of us, and I'm sure you go off the track sometimes. You're like, okay, got to bring it back. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but
for sure.
I've seen that. I've seen all of us do that at some times. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think it's something that a lot of us sort of fluff by. A lot of retailers fluff by. I don't have time to stop. I don't have time for white space. I don't have time for yoga, or But I see a direct line with a lot of retailers like yourself when that slow down to see greatness on the other side, to see better revenue streams, more profits, more joy, right? Which is the whole purpose, right? So.
Yeah.
It's our
and it also gives you time. Like if you're having a crisis, it also lets you be calm during the crisis rather than flying off the handle and freaking out. It really lets you, I don't know, it gives you the space to do that as well.
Right.
So it's
true.
Really good.
Yeah.
You should do that. Yeah. Everyone should do that. Yeah. Everyone should meditate.
Listen to Jane. Yeah. So I will say I am a rookie newbie meditator. I have a coach who it's like you can't work with him if you don't agree to try it. So he really convinced me, and I just started with baby steps, and it's and I'm a monkey brain a lot, and I admit that, and my brain's going, but I have really learned to calm my brain, and it's made a big difference. I see such a difference, and it sounds silly, but it works, right? So it does work. But slowing down to speed up is really something a lot of us need to do. So what's next for Morning Dew Creations? What's next for Jane? What's new and anything fun? Or are you just going to settle into this new thing already?
Yeah, I really feel like I'm settling into the community. I'm working on getting more foot traffic in here. And so, just really focusing on the store. But I also have, some other revenue streams. I've got a VIP group that I love, and all of my mixed media videos, my furniture videos, they live in there. And so the VIP group is, I'm working on, growing that as a bigger community, and it's a ton of fun. And then I just started a Project of the Month club for my kits. So the kits I was really selling in my VIP group, and I've just decided to expand that. And it does make it easier. I was doing them twice a month, and now I'm just doing it once a month. So that makes it a little easier on me. Yeah, right. To pack everything and get it all set out, and to really create amazing kits and projects that people want to learn.
Right. Wonderful. Yeah, it's been fun watching you grow your VIP group too. So anybody who's interested, we'll definitely share all of your contact information. But what's the best place that people can go and find you and find out about your VIP and your shop and
So Facebook, you can find me live all the time. And if you want to learn little tips and tricks, that's where I'm at live. If you really want to dig in, it's morningdewcreations.com. And then there's a tab called Create. And there's 3 different ways you can create with me. I have an art and soul box, which is just kind of the coolest. I get to curate it. It's mixed media products and furniture painting products. No instructions come with it. It's if you like to try new stuff, that's for you. I've got the Project of the Month club where I do a class with a kit, and then the VIP club as well. So that's where you can find me, find all the goodies.
That's awesome. What would you say before we leave is your biggest silver lining from the last year? Is the silver lining from last year for you, for Jane?
I think just connections with my community. It was really good for me to be doing those classes as well. Because we did need connection. We couldn't go anywhere. And I really have created just some amazing relationships with people that are now, not only are they clients, but they're definitely friends. And so that's really been amazing.
It's fulfilling for both, right? I see how you light up when you talk about them, and you're there for them and they're there for you. So I think it's a great community. And I feel the same. I feel like sometimes it's like, shh, don't tell them that they're helping me too, right? They're fulfilling me, but I do see that, they light you up and you light them up. So it's such a wonderful.
And to see how their art is growing, and somebody even said to me, I feel like I'm really coming into my own. Like I can create for myself now rather than just following somebody else. That's so cool. That's what it's all about. Yeah. It's finding who you are and finding who you are as a creative and then making stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, I know. I see that. I feel that when I see retailers like yourself come into their, not just, like you said, not just doing things, but really just stepping into the role of the CEO. When I see you do that, it's the same thing. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming so much. I know your life is busy and you're taking all this time out. I do appreciate you. And we will have all of your contact information, your links and everything on the show notes. So thank you, Jane. Anything else to add before? I have a quick question. Much. I forgot. I always end my podcast and I just got wrapped up in what we were talking about. Do you have any favorite sayings, quotes, mantras, or advice that you like to share with other retailers before we say goodbye?
Well, really one of my very favorites is "This too shall pass."
Well, it's very appropriate right now. Yeah. Well, it helps.
And then the other is pivot.
It's just,
don't quit, just pivot.
Yeah, I know. So that's such a great way to end, because I mean, we've been using that word a lot. I know we're all sick of it, but it really is what we have to do as to continue doing and living a fulfilling life, and, running, not waitressing, and which is nothing wrong with that. But if that's not what you want to do and you want to live, your creative life and live a self-employed life, you got to learn to pivot. So that's great. And this too shall pass, right? So anybody that's struggling right now. So thank you so much, Jane. It's been great. We'll be sure to have all your contact information. Thanks for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so fun.
Yay.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. Make sure you join our Rockstar Creatives Facebook group. We will continue the conversation over there weekly. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.